Oh my gosh, it's been a little bit. Welcome to my kitchen. My name is Kristen Solorzano. I am the recipe developer and content creator behind What's the Frickin' Recipe? And I can't believe it, but Thanksgiving is just a few weeks away. So you're here in the right spot. You're you're here on Kittch. We got you covered. So today, we're gonna be making fluffy biscuits with a cinnamon honey butter, and I am so very excited to show you. So let's just get into it. Have some fun. Relax. Okay. So biscuits. Start off with flour, right? So here I just have 2 cups of all-purpose flour, nothing fancy, and I am going to add a tablespoon. Oh my gosh, tablespoon and a half of baking powder because we're going fluffy, right? So if you've turned into some of my other streams, you know that baking powder makes baked goods rise, and baking soda helps baked goods hold their shape. So these are fluffy. These are going to be fluffy AF. So we want them high. So there's quite a bit of baking powder in this recipe, which is cool, right? You're okay with that, right? Okay. So, and then I have just like a little touch of sweetness, right? So I have 1 tablespoon of sugar and then just like an eighth of a teaspoon of salt because I'm using salted butter. I'm not using unsalted butter in this recipe. That's just how I like to do it. So if you want, you can use unsalted. Just try and, account for that in your recipe. So if you do use unsalted, I would do about half a tablespoon of salt. Okay. And then we just whisk it around. Just a little whisk. And this just gets it all incorporated before we add our cold butter. Okay. You know what? I'm going to take off my rings just because I don't want it all gunky. Okay. So I've been keeping my butter cold in the fridge, and I'll tell you what I did with it. So this kind of looks like cheese, right? Just like grated mozzarella, it's butter. I like to grate my butter. That way it's a little bit easier to incorporate into the dough and you're not overworking it, right? Plus, it's a little bit easier to handle than like trying to chop up the cold butter into like small little pieces. I'm just going to add that to our dough. Try and get like every little butter piece. There we go. Okay. And shocking, I don't have a pastry cutter, so I'm just using a fork. I have a small kitchen, y'all, so I'm sure it's almost like laughable to you at this point. Like I make cocktails all the time. I don't have a cocktail shaker. I mean, it's a little interesting for me to just kind of be like a MacGyver, find what works. I don't know. I can't explain it. I gotta find a spot for everything, and sometimes I just don't have a spot for everything. You know what I mean? I love this recipe. But if I'll be honest, like if protect your sanity over the holidays, right? I know it's like a stressful time for everybody. So if making bread or biscuits like isn't in your, something that you want to do, don't do it. Like give yourself permission to enjoy the holidays, okay? Maybe that means delegating some things, and I struggle with that too. I struggle with delegating sometimes. Maybe that means like delegating the bread to somebody else. Or if you have a favorite bakery, go get a loaf of your favorite bread or rolls, whatever that may be, and share that with your guests. It's important for you to enjoy the holidays, so make sure you protect that. Okay. I'm giving you permission, but also I'm speaking it into existence for myself. You know what I mean? Okay. So you want to get the dough into like pea-sized amounts here, and we're getting there. Just like a couple more before adding our milk. I think we're almost there. There we go. Whoop. That's good enough. Okay. So I have my milk. I pre-measured it and I stuck it in the fridge so it's nice and cold. We want the biscuits to be cold because that's what's going to create those flaky little layers. Okay. So I made a little well in there. Pour that right in there. Get some of the stuff out of the way. And it's not fancy, y'all. Just we're stirring it around until it just comes together because we don't want to overwork the dough. Because an overworked dough will end up in like kind of tough. All right, so as you can see, there's still kind of like some flour on the sides. That's cool. Like just leave it. When in doubt, just leave it. All right. Get my fork out of here. I wore the wrong shirt for this. I'm trying to pull up my sleeve without getting flour all over it. Okay. Here we go, some flour. If you're comfortable, you can come up to the chef's table. If not, it's cool. Thanks for joining anyways. Okay, so I have some floured hands and I'm just going to turn this out onto our floured surface here. There we go. And I'm just gonna kind of like form it a little bit. It is gonna be like a little sticky and that's okay. I did account for the fact that we're gonna be adding a little bit more flour as we go. So it's better off, you're better off to initially add less flour and then add more as you're rolling it out. Okay. That looks good. I'm gonna do something a little wild, okay? We're not gonna use a rolling pin. I know. And we're not making drop biscuits, obviously, so just watch. Check it out. Okay, we're actually gonna use a bench scraper and we're gonna laminate the dough by stacking it on top of each other. What does that mean? Let me show you. Okay. Cut it in half, half, half. Take one, stack it, stack it, stack it, smush. Okay, so this is just like another way of laminating the dough instead of doing it envelope style, right? I find it to be a little bit easier to handle by doing it this way. And laminating is just like a fancy word for creating layers, right? So we're going to do this about 4 times to really make them so flaky. Really, we're just kind of like pressing them to, there's really no scientific measurement as to how thick they need to be during this process because we're just smushing them down into layers. Are you counting? How many times have I done this? Because I have not been counting. Weird. Weird and strange. Okay, I'll do one more for good measure. How about that? I think that's good. There we go. Gonna move some of this over the way. All right, so now since this is our last dough laminating process here, I'm going to try and get it into an even thickness with no rolling pin. I'm just smushing it down to about 3/4 of an inch. Like these are going to be some thick ass biscuits. They're going to be so fluffy and so good. Okay. I think that'll do. Okay, I'm going to wash my hands real quick just because I have all the biscuit stuff all over me. I feel like I need some interlude music. Okay, there we go. So I don't have a That's a biscuit cutter. So we're using a glass, just like a mason jar, top of a mason jar, nothing fancy. I'm gonna dip it in the flour so it doesn't stick to our dough. And when you're making biscuits, just go straight down and up. We do not want to twist it because when you twist it, you're sealing in the edges and it's not going to rise as high as you would if you just go straight down and up. So down and up, down and up, down and up. Whoop. Got one that's stuck. That's okay. Down and up. There we go. So that gave us 4. This will give us about 10 biscuits. So if you are making it for a crowd, I would double the recipe. And I'm putting these pretty close together because the steam is actually going to help them rise even more if you put them a little bit closer. There we go. There we go. Okay. I'm going to repeat that until we get all our dough used up here. But also, like, if making your own bread, there's no shame in getting some Hawaiian rolls and then brushing the tops with the cinnamon honey butter that we're also going to make, or like Calabama's compound butters. That would also be amazing, brushed on top of some rolls. The cool thing about Turkey TV here on Kittch is that you can kind of like cherry pick what you want your Thanksgiving meal to look like. You know what I mean? Can be mixing and matching. All right. Getting low on our dough here, which is okay. I think I made these a little bit thicker than I had wanted to, but that's okay. We like them thick. All right, there we go. I think we can get one more, and then what I like to call a chef's biscuit. You know what that is, right? Just like the little scrap that the chef can pop in their mouth. I am here for that. Look at that. Cute, little cutie. All right, so since I rolled those a little bit thicker than what the recipe calls for, which I have attached to the stream, I owe you the recipe for the cinnamon honey butter. I'll get to that after this stream. I kind of ran out of time. And then this is my little chef's biscuit, which I am going to enjoy by myself when you're not watching. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Here we go. Da, 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 da. Looks good, right? So you can brush the tops with milk if you really want to. That would just encourage the browning process. I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to put them right in 450 degrees for about 12 to 15 minutes. Stick those in for 12. And look at me. I'm setting the timer this time. I'm not forgetting about it. Okay, let me clear up my workstation a little bit before we move to the honey butter. Cool? I think you can appreciate that. There is something just like therapeutic when you're using the bench scraper. So satisfying. You know y'all can dig it. All right, there we go. There we go. Put the crumbs in the trash. Wash my hands. And then if you have any questions about the recipe or the streams itself, or any Thanksgiving questions in general, I'm so happy to answer those in the comments after the stream. Just let me know. Okay. I think I'm good. I'm trying to think what measuring spoons I need for my butter. Okay, I think we're good. All right. You know what? Let me get you a better shot. I set up my mixer and everything, but I want to show you the bowl. So I'm going to take it apart. Yoink. Okay. Cinnamon honey butter. Like I said, you can combine this with anything else. There's no shame in getting some Hawaiian rolls and using this. It's so good. Brush them on. If you do the Hawaiian rolls, you can brush the butter on top, or I like to just serve it along the side on the table. Okay, so I am using salted butter again, half a cup, so 1 stick. And this is room temperature butter. It's not softened because once we use the mixer, it's actually going to create like a residual heat from the mixing itself. So if it is too soft, it'll melt, which is what we don't really want when we're mixing it with the honey. And another Thanksgiving tip, save your butter papers, okay? Because it has all that residual butter, and you know what this is perfect for? Buttering those casserole dishes, for whether that be stuffing or if it's for baked goods, cakes, pies, you name it. I'm gonna grab it right now actually. I keep just like a plastic bag or a baggie of butter papers in my fridge. So just fold it up. There you go. And then just stick it in the fridge. So then when it is time to butter it, it's all nice and cold, and then you rubbing the dish will actually just kind of heat it up and grease your pans. It works beautifully, promise. Okay, so to our butter, we are going to add half. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna let this go just for like a minute, and then we're gonna mix in the rest. Just kidding. Here we go. All right. So I am just using the paddle attachment. I'll kind of swing you over if you're curious. I think that's the best I can get. Here we go. Let her rip. So like a medium. Nothing too crazy yet. Just kind of want to like soften it up a little bit before we start adding our cinnamon and our honey. I'm gonna grab something while I'm thinking about it. Okay, I think that's good. Ooh, wrong way. Can't tell you how many times I've done that. Here we go. All right, that's a good consistency there. Okay, so we got our butter just like a little whipped, and I'm going to add half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon right in there. And then I'm also going to add 3 tablespoons of honey. And if you're not aware of this honey trick, if you put cooking spray on like a teaspoon, a cup, it'll actually allow the honey to just slide right into your recipe and you don't have to worry about it. I'm going to do this over the sink though. There we go. And it doesn't taste like anything. So I got a little bit there. So we're going to do 3 of these. And I am using a salted butter just because I do like the contrast between the sweet and the salty. See how that just slides right off? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe my hand was out of the way. That's all right. We got 2 more chances to get it right. There we go. Just slides right in there. All right, and then 1 more tablespoon. This is going to be so good on those biscuits. There we go. All right. Delish. All right, so I'm going to put that back up here and then let it go. scrape it down a little bit. This recipe is inspired by my aunt. So whenever she would host Thanksgiving at her house as a kid, I mean, it was hard to get pumped about Thanksgiving sometimes when you're a kid. You have like those picky tendencies. So I was always super pumped about her cinnamon honey butter that she would always make and just have it sitting on the table. I feel like I would just go so heavy on the rolls and cinnamon honey butter that, like, to me, that was my ultimate feast on Thanksgiving. The rolls and honey butter. But I mean, once you taste it, I mean, you'd be like, yeah, okay, I get it. I get it, Kristen. So it's definitely like one of those food memories. There we go. Trying to, all right. Let's just give it like a couple more spins. All right, that's good. All right, I'll swing it back around. Da, 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 da. See how much. Oh, there's only like 3 minutes left on our biscuits. I made a small half a batch ahead of time just in case they were taking longer than expected, but we might be able to swing it. All right, so right now I'm just trying to get all of the goodness off of the beater. I am gonna check on our biscuits just because they're smelling. Do a little rotate. There we go. So if you are having if you're having more than 4 people over for Thanksgiving, I would suggest doing a couple of small ramekins on each end of the table, or even 3, depending on how many people you're having over, just because then you're not having to do like the, hey, can you pass the butter? Like all the way down the table. Plus, like if you're on the receiving end, you're just waiting for the damn butter, like Aunt Jenny, like, come on, like my roll needs buttering. That way it's just more easily accessible, right? So you could do fancy, you could do like a fancy like quenelle or whatever. I'm just gonna try and do like a little, or you could do like a swirl situation. I'm honestly just gonna do like a little boop, 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 boop. See? Delicious. Okay. All right. One day I'll get it. Just a delicious little swirl. All right. Nostalgia. All right, so I got like a minute 35 on our biscuits. What do you say? Do you want to wait a minute or have some already made? We'll do both. Okay. So I'll show you how flaky and fluffy these get. You see all those different layers in there? Oh my gosh. And that was all created just by stacking the dough on top of each other. Look at that. So good. And I'm just gonna go in for it. Ooh, so fluffy. Spread that cinnamon honey butter right on the inside. So these are still like not super warm just because I made them like an hour ago. So they've cooled up quite a bit. But once you put the butter on there, when they're hot, then the butter just melts into those buttery biscuit layers. It's so good. But cheers. Oh my gosh. This is gonna make you so happy. So delicious. And the butter is just has like a hint of sweetness. It's not overly sweet or overly cinnamony. Is that a word? But do you know what I'm saying? Those are our biscuits. Let me check on them. Woo! Oh yeah. Okay. All right, all right. I know I already showed you that, but I gotta show you how these ones turned out, the ones that we just made. Just so you know I'm not lying, how flaky these babies are. Look at that. Just gonna go for the side. That one actually, you know what? I lied. Let's stick these back in for one more minute. I got too excited. Can you blame me? I mean, come on. We're gonna do actually 2 more minutes. So that was just at the 12-minute mark, so 14 minutes. But I do wanna give you the melted butter biscuit shot because you deserve it. You deserve it. So just hang on, 2 minutes, promise. But in the meantime, I forgot to mention, we're gonna melt some butter and we're gonna brush those right on top when they come out. So it's all working out. You know what I mean? Should be over here eating my biscuits. I wish I could share it with you. I mean, I guess I technically am because I'm giving you the recipe, but you know, it would be cool if I could just hand you one. All right. I know I have another taste test coming my way, but I don't even care. There's our melted butter. We're brushing on top of our biscuits right when they come out of the oven. I mean, that's an excellent way to start your week. Some buttery, flaky biscuits. Hell yeah. I'm into it. Okay. 22 seconds. I don't know if that was caught on camera, but I almost just dropped everything in my hand. Alrighty. Oh, baby. Okay. We ready. We ready, we ready, we ready. There we go. Brush the butter over the top. Here, let me see if I can get a little bit closer here. Yes, there we go. Close up close and personal. Oh my goodness. That is the money shot right there. Just so buttery, flaky. These are so delish. My kids love these. My whole family loves them. Here's my little chef biscuit. So as far as butter goes, about 2 tablespoons will get you what you need. Like I said, I made these a little bit thicker than what the recipe calls for. So usually you'll get like 10 biscuits out of it. All right, which one do I want though? Which one do I want? I know I'm like touching all of them, but whatever. Ooh. Look at that. I mean, come on. Like, for real? Look how flaky that is. Can you see the steam? Oh my gosh. It's so hot, but do not care. Okay, I gotta know, are you, like, favorable for the top part of the biscuit or the bottom? For me, I think it's the top of the biscuit. There is a difference, I don't care what you say. Look at that. You see how that heat is already melting that cinnamon honey butter that we just made? It's just dripping into those flaky layers. Cheers. Happy Thanksgiving! You know, in a few weeks, but something to look forward to. Shut up. It's so good. It is so good. Mm-mm-mm. That's it, y'all. That is it. We made fluffy ass biscuits and a cinnamon honey butter in less than 30 minutes. It probably would have, I mean, 31, 32 technically, but my ass wasn't talking all the time. But if I can do it, you can do it. And I'm so excited for you to join me here on Kittch this month. If you check my channel, I have a ton of new streams coming up. So my next stream is going to be a stovetop 3 cheese mac and cheese because sometimes playing oven Jenga on Thanksgiving is not in the cards. So it's good to have a few stovetop recipes that you don't have to put in the oven. So that 3 cheese mac and cheese is the perfect recipe for that. But then the following week, the week before Thanksgiving, I'm streaming every weekday to get you ready and give you, give you some Thanksgiving inspo because I want you to be able to enjoy the holidays and I want you to be able to feel inspired with some of these recipes. So be sure to follow me here on Kittch so you can be up to date on all the upcoming streams. And you could also follow me on social media. I am on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok under WTFIN recipe. And thanks for coming to my kitchen. I really appreciate you. I know I say that every time, but I say it because I mean it. Thanks, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you Thursday for some mac and cheese. Bye.